may what I'm about to say be seen as educational content and not an attack on anybody I may jurisdiction or comment on. And something I'd like to talk about is radical socialisation. Something else I'd like to talk about is Willie Lynch ideology. And something that's happening a lot on Black TikTok is this preaching about the field slave, house slave ideation, which is being put out there by people in the black diaspora, which astounds me. If you study PTSS by great psychologist Dr. Joy DeGroy, she will tell you herself that the ones who were in the houses were black women. And the reason for that is so the slave masters could have easy access, so that terrible atrocities and, let's just say, their body autonomy was not in place. And there was many children off the back of these events. So to suggest this dark skin, light skin difference between the ones who were in the fields and the ones who were in the houses is not entirely true. And to suggest that, to say that the light skinned ones were the ones who were favoured by the slave masters and therefore are less seen as black by people like Dr. Umar Johnson is also an act of insulting black women and what happened to them and their sacrifices. Many lost their male partners because many were killed, and the women looked after the children that they had, but many were taken away because of said accusations of proximity. And we are not a monolith. We are a spectrum, because we were divided, sent all around the world as product, and used and abused. Therefore, the word diaspora exists to help explain this. And because of the atrocities that happen to our women, which is why there is a mixture in our backgrounds. Prominent people like Spike Lee have found out this when they've had their genealogy checked. Lionel Richie's another example. But we are all connected by the fact we have post-traumatic slave syndrome, and we have this inner depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress, because we take on the dimensions of what happened to our ancestors. We are all connected by that bloodline and in our DNAs. And to split us up into skin colours and, this, oh well, you're better because of proximity. No. I myself have severe depression, social anxiety and PTSD. In recent statistics, in the UK, 94% of people who have been referred to mental health services are part of the mental health departments that need to be seen, to be treated, to be diagnosed and to be helped, because we are more susceptible to mental health. But you have people preaching that because of skin shade and because of the differences in us, who is seen as the better perception of blackness and who isn't. This is when I talk about the radical socialisation. The self-hate and the misinformation that is being put out there when there is education readily available to speak the differences is astounding. An example I'd like to use is albinoism, which does exist in the diaspora. Are you going to say they're less part of the diaspora, those of them that are connected, because they have a lighter skin shade? Are you going to suggest that if somebody has a mixture of ethnicities and cultures, that makes them less part of the diaspora because of your perception or misperception of what being part of the black diaspora is? And are you going to forget that if you were seen as having proximity to whiteness, you would hide in plain sight to protect yourself and your family members? Also, there's the 1 drop rule, where your blood was tested, and if it was found out that you had blood types that was consistent with the AO subtype, you were declared as being part of the black diaspora and you were lynched, enslaved, abused in all sorts of ways, because you were then seen to be connected to said diaspora. Sickle cell anemia is not dependent on skin shade. Having illnesses like COVID and being more susceptible to having COVID is not dependent on skin shade. When Archie, son of Harry and Meghan, was born, they didn't care about the skin shade. What was talked about is the fact that he was part of the diaspora, and then it was discussed how dark he was going to be. So you're quick to claim people in that situation when it suits, same as you would claim Barack Obama when it suits. But when it comes to the actual realities of life and promoting all as part of the makeup of the black diaspora, you get these people who are separatists, who are shadists, and don't want to claim all as the sum of all parts. And this is something I've been talking about for 4 years on here at the very least, and something I do in men's therapeutic groups. We as a diaspora are responsible for the prejudices and differences that are put out there. I repeat, we are also responsible. Same as discussing whether somebody who is LGBTQI+, we out them as not being part of the diaspora. People with mental illnesses, people with neurodivergences are also cast aside. It's about time we looked within ourselves as the prejudices we're putting out there and not just blaming outside influences. We are also responsible for a lot of the hate that's coming our way. But how many are willing to have this discussion? Or how many will just profit off the misinformation and put it out there as so-called black focused education when it's false? Professor Moriarty has spoken. We'll speak again.